This is Josh.
And I'm Chris.
With the MacWorks Weekly, episode 4. Today we're actually going to be talking a little bit about Steve Jobs. It is the 1-year anniversary of his passing, if you will. Apple.com actually has a pretty cool video on the website, just showing a little bit of Steve, a little bit of a retrospective. Anyways, don't want to dwell on sad things all day, but we miss you, Steve. Speaking of Steve, there's a time capsule, not the Apple time capsule, but an actual physical box somewhere in Aspen that basically has a mouse from the original, from one of Steve's presentations with the Apple Lisa. Steve was at the IDCA 29 years ago, and one of the guys came up and said, "Hey, we're doing a time capsule. Is there something you'd like to put in it?" And so he unplugged the mouse from his Lisa and gave it to the guy. And so that is actually floating in a time capsule box somewhere. Problem is, nobody knows where it is anymore.
Which is super cool.
It is.
I want to go looking for this thing.
There is a gentleman who has started looking for people who may have attended that conference to see if any of them have any information about where that time capsule may have ended up. They're looking to dig it up on the 30th anniversary of that conference, which is this next year. So speaking of nostalgic things, Steve Wozniak, it's interesting that I reference him as something nostalgic, but he was the co-founder of Apple, not really involved much with the company anymore, but he did a recent interview on the things that he thinks Apple should do a little bit differently than they are right now, including porting iTunes to other mobile platforms. Steve Wozniak is saying that Apple should port iTunes to Android, Windows Phone, and I think those are the two platforms he focused on because really they're the most popular platforms out there besides iOS. Yeah, definitely something Apple should consider. The next thing on his list was that Apple should back off of the lawsuits. And part of that is if Apple did back off of litigation, they can start focusing on bringing in new blood into the company. He's specifically saying young engineers. A new criticism has emerged with Apple's new App Store interface. Everything is now tiled interface, so if you do a search for an application, it shows you one application at a time. And you have to swipe to the next one, swipe to the next one, swipe to the next one. So there's no list anymore. So when you search, it just shows you individual tiles of the application. And it's possible that the application that I'm looking for is buried behind a few garbage apps in the search results. Yeah. So if I don't see what I'm looking for initially, then I honestly may just give up searching for it. Yeah, absolutely. So the new layout of the top charts and featured and all that kind of stuff is a little bit questionable for me. Seems like Apple's just changing things out of the necessity for change instead of for the better. The last thing that we have for you this week is that Ping met its death.
It's one of those things I always felt like I know where they're going with it. It's a cool idea, but it just doesn't quite have its place in that particular interface. At some point, I don't want to socially interact with people. Like, yes. Really, I've got, a billion apps and, the web browser up with Facebook and, like, everything else. If I just want to listen to some music, that's kind of all I'm going to do. So I think that's why it died. I think it's just not the right place for it.
It's just another one of those things that Apple tried and didn't work, so they cut it. Yeah. That's all we have for you today. Thanks for watching.
He's Josh.
I am? Question mark?
He's Chris.
Chris in third person. Later.
This is my imaginary dumbbell.
Welcome to the gun show.
I can has car now.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
You can't.